Welcome back to the KENOBI podcast, people. You know who I am. I'm the host. I'm Chris KENOBI. Now, listen, I got some stuff on Tucker Carlson that just came out yesterday. And this really is going to show you and show a lot of people, whether you're Republican or whether you're Democrat, just how much control guys like us don't have in what goes on in our country. This is going to show us that decisions are being made every single day that we don't even know about, things that are being slipped through under the current of American government that will affect the lives of you and me and our children and their children, that will affect the lives of whether we as a country go to war and who we choose to go to war with. This is some big news from Tucker Carlson. I encourage you to stick around for the whole thing and the KENOBI commentary as usual, because there's some things you have to slip in when you're dealing with Tucker. Like and subscribe on the way in. Back to Tuck.
Dennis KUCINICH, thank you for doing this.
Thanks,
so
Dennis.
a lot of us who've been paying half attention keep hearing that there's an effort in the
Oh, by the way, this guy right here, which I really applaud Tucker for having him on, this Dennis guy right here is an ex-congressman from Ohio, great state of Ohio. And he's coming on Tucker Carlson's show, no less, to alert the American people of what exactly is going down.
Congress to, in some basic sense, merge the U.S. military with the IDF, with the Israeli military. Same with our intelligence services. It's hard to believe that could be true. Is it true? What do you know about it?
Well, the National Defense Authorization Act of 2027, Section 219, has a provision that provides for the integration of the IDF and the U.S. military at the top, most sensitive levels of our military operations, and that is a fact. Now, when you have an integration and you say you're going to eliminate duplication, that's a merger, and so they're merging. And the
U.S. military and Israeli military.
Yes, Tucker. Now let me give it to you straight, because I want you people to understand this. I took a look at this bill. It's called the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2027. It's going to be voted on very soon. And we're talking specifically about Section 219, Section 1217. And it is, in fact, talking about a secret merger between the United States Department of War and the IDF, the Israel National Defense. Okay? This is what it's saying. Okay? It's a merger of both militaries into one huge military, with Israel and America being equal partners. Okay? So this is just not just a alliance between two allies. This is serious business. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, and in specific areas like artificial intelligence and autonomous functioning of vehicles, that will increase the kill efficiency, right?
Yes.
In quantum sensing, that deals with very sophisticated data and will blur the distinction between offense and defense, okay?
Let me give it to you straight here. I'm going to read a little bit about this. What happens is that these guys, once this merger takes place, they will put a person in the Department of War that will be the liaison between Israel and America as we co-merge our two militaries. It says right here, the Secretary of Defense, they must have meant war, shall designate an executive agent responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel to expand and accelerate bilateral defense technology, research, development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. So this is a merger of both militaries. And there's going to be a point person who's going to mold these two militaries together over time. Sorry about that, Tom.
Cyber electronic war is another area they want to merge in, which you can't really, if you take AI,
Yep.
And you match it with these sophisticated technologies, you expand the ability to hurt people, really, to kill people.
Yeah.
They want to merge missile defense, space defense.
Israel wants it all.
Directed energy.
Israel wants it all.
A whole range of things. And biological technology, including potential biological warfare.
Yeah.
What could go wrong, right? See, and I look at it this way, Tucker. The first issue is American sovereignty. I don't care, Israel or whoever. We need to maintain our sovereignty. We cannot cause another country to be involved in the decision makings that relate to the national security of the United States of America.
You got to understand something, people. This merger, if it goes through, is unprecedented. You're taking two nations, two sovereign nations, and you're blending together both of their military. Think about the implications of that. Who's really in charge here? That means every single thing we do, every single thing we have, Israel now has for free. And everything Israel gets involved in, we're going to get dragged along, i.e. Iran. Keep going, Tuck.
We have to be singular and solitary in that regard. Unfortunately, this provision in this bill, all the safeguards go out the window. And essentially, it's a merger, and, one step from a merger is an acquisition. I am, yeah, really, think about that.
Well, who's acquisition?
And think about this, too, in this context. We had kind of a kind of a practice run of this merger in Iran. Look what happened.
Yeah, look what happened.
The Israel, the United States at the behest of Israel goes in and attacks Iran.
Yeah.
Working with Israel on this, it ended up being a disaster on so many different levels. So that's what we've already found out from that kind of a cooperation, let's say. And now imagine if you get two parties together and they go forward from there, what could go wrong? The United States must remain sovereign. We must not in any way cede this idea of Israel being integrated, the militaries of the U.S. and Israel being integrated. The other thing is
the Constitution.
It's unconstitutional.
Oh, okay.
I mean, really, they bypassed the treaty mechanism. We joined NATO as a treaty.
Yep.
Yes.
There's no treaty here. It's just in legislation. This should be going to the Senate.
You understand that. The decisions that are being made on an everyday basis, we have no idea what's going on in Washington. And when I say Washington, I'm not talking just about Democrats or Republicans. I'm saying that there is a swamp there. Now, somebody was supposed to clean it up, but the swamp is dirtier and pungent and swampy than ever. What they're saying is they have bypassed normal legislation and they slipped this into the 2027 budget. That if the budget is passed, this automatically goes into effect. Now, most people don't even know this is going on because neither the Democrats or Republicans in our Congress is bringing this to light. So hats off to Tuck for doing it for us. Thanks, Tuck. Keep going.
East for approval. Not so, just to put in legislation, make it happen. And also, people, the president's the commander-in-chief of U.S. Armed Forces, each of whom take an oath to defend the Constitution. First of all, Israel doesn't have a constitution. Secondly, they're not taking any oath to the United States of America to protect our interests. So what is this about? Why are we becoming more vulnerable to a nation whose military values are so distinct from ours?
Why would we do this? Why would this be something that neither congressional Democrat or Republican or progressive or independent for that matter, is not screaming from the rooftops about this. Why would someone want to blend our two militaries inside of our own Congress? Why would someone want to slip this in where it's not even separately able to be voted on or brought to the floor? You got to understand here, this is serious business that somebody is co-opting the American government and the mechanisms that we use to make sure our rights and our Constitution is respected. Go ahead, Tuck.
Well, I mean, there's so many levels here. I mean, to address that, of all the militaries you could merge with, why pick the only one on the planet that's currently committing genocide?
Now, see, a lot of people don't want to say that, and I give Tuck credit for it, because the truth of the matter is, Israel is committing genocide in Gaza, Hezbollah. Israel is bombing kids, sniping kids, blowing up churches, shooting people inside churches. They're blowing up hospital vans. They're shooting people, doing a double tap in the hospitals. Israel doesn't care. Now, likewise, Tuck, I'm sorry. You're saying, why would anybody want to get involved and merge a military with a government that is committing genocide? At least I say this. We just blew up a school in Iran with 250 girls in it. And we didn't even say we were sorry. So we're not all that innocent anymore, Tucker. We've got our hands dirty with Israel. We've got our hands dirty with Donald Trump. We got our hands dirty with a Congress of Democrats and Republicans who don't seem to care how dirty they get us. Go ahead, Tucker.
I mean, it does seem grotesque of all the militaries on the planet.
Right.
It does seem like this changes the dynamic between the United States and Israel completely were it to become law. Because as it presently stands, the United States is Israel's benefactor. Israel can't fight 7 wars or whatever, how many fronts they have at any given time without the United States paying for most of it, which we do. And so we can withdraw that support and thereby control, at least theoretically control Israel's behavior. We never have, but we could. This would, if it becomes law, integrate the militaries to such an extent that the United States would actually be at the mercy of Israel.
Yes.
So Israel withdraws technology and the United States military is hamstrung.
Yep.
So it would actually put Israel in the driver's seat.
That's right. 100% correct. And as such, it's adverse to the national security interests of the United States of America. We cannot be in a situation where there's no oversight. Congress is out of the picture once this thing passes.
What does that mean? How?
What it means is that this is run in the Defense Department with a coordinator.
I said that.
And that, just like the daily business of the Department of Defense moves on, this becomes part of the daily business.
Yep.
This integration, this coordination.
So no more votes. No more votes.
No, not on these matters. No.
No.
And even more important is this. The National Defense Authorization Act authorizes $1.5 trillion annually.
Yep.
80% of the discretionary budget of the United States of America is now going for military.
Yep.
I mean, that's horrific to begin.
80%
Absolutely
of America's
80%.
discretionary budget, total discretionary budget,
Yes.
is going to the
The
military?
discretionary budget of
Yes.
the United States of America is about $1.9 trillion. You know, we can
80%.
spend money on education. We can spend.
Understand that. Now, everybody want to say, make America great again. We got a Department of War. But my point is, 80% of that 1.5, actually it's 1.7 trillion dollars. 80% of that is going to military. Okay? And Doge didn't do any cuts in military. So the point I'm trying to make is 80% is going to a military, and we're supporting Israel at $4 billion a year. But yet and still, our infrastructure is messed up. Education's messed up. You know, social services messed up. Medicare is messed up. Healthcare is messed up. But 80% of our entire $1.7 trillion budget, discretionary spending, is going to military that we don't even need. because we shouldn't be getting involved in these wars because our president said no more foreign wars. Sorry, Tom.
Money on healthcare. We can spend money
Oh,
on food
yeah.
nutrition programs,
Infrastructure.
infrastructure, yes. Or we can choose to spend money on the military.
And that's what we're doing, guys. We're spending money on the military while the American people, black, white, red, green, Republican, Democrat, Independent, Progressive, are suffering right now. SNAP benefits, we're suffering right now. Not just, and stop talking about like you think it's all a black thing or it's all a Democrat thing. No, not true. Republicans in the Republican held states get more SNAP benefits than we do. Okay, so I'm talking about Americans are suffering. Okay, the SNAP benefits, Medicare people are suffering. Our veterans are suffering. Okay, all of these people are suffering. Healthcare, forget it. The education has been gutted. And yet still, we're sending billions of dollars across the river to Israel. Why? What makes Israel that important to the United States at the sacrifice of its own people and the sacrifice of the quality of life of everyday Americans? Why is Israel more important than Americans?
President Trump has made his own case that, we've got to protect our country, but there's questions as to whether this is in our national security interest. And $1.5 trillion annually, that is a 67% increase over the previous year.
900.
The budget was $900 billion.
Yep.
Now it's $1.5 trillion. Think of that increase of $600 billion in 1 year.
Yeah.
Plus, we now have a Department of War. Plus, Israel would then have access not just to the $4 billion that we give them in military assistance.
KENOBI got it right.
Have access to the whole Megillah, to everything. We will be opening up the possibility of Israel having influence over a $1.5 trillion annual budget.
That is crazy. And what I don't understand, we're pretty much saying to Israel, just come on in. Just come on in. Let me show you everything. Let me show you all our technology. Let me show you all our weapons. Let me show you all our drone technology. Let me show you all of this other stuff. And on top of that, you can use it for free. And on top of that, we're going to keep giving you $4 billion a year. Why? Somebody needs it. You and I, Americans, people, it doesn't matter. Why? Christians, why? Is Israel that important that the least of us in America will continue to suffer?
I feel sick hearing this.
I do too, Tom.
First of all, we just lost a war with Iran.
Yeah, we lost it.
Which has an economy, the size of an American state. Okay, so you would think at that point someone would say, let's not continue feeding a system that is failing. Let's stop and assess where the money went the first time before we, up the budget. Right? I mean, clearly what we're doing is working. Right.
Yeah. You would think.
Okay. And this would give Israel influence over that over 80% of America's discretionary spending.
Again, let's look at, counter drones, anti-tunneling, directed energy, AI, autonomous weapons, cyber technology, electronic warfare.
The whole candy store.
The national security architecture of the future. The future.
Wow.
Here it is. We're going to share it. Really?
For free.
And also, you have to remember that Israel was a conduit for taking technology from America and sending it to China.
And Russia.
There's no guarantees in this agreement that they can't.
And the Soviet Union.
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan Pollard's secrets, which he stole from the United States military, from the Navy, wound up in the hands of our arch rivals, the Soviets.
Because you don't have to spy or steal if everything's open and you're you have a seat at the table, do you? This is, and then as you pointed out earlier, Tucker, ethnic cleansing, genocide, these are partners. Because we're not just, taking in their IDF, let's say, we're taking in the values that we've seen demonstrated, or lack of values, on, moral.
You know, the Bible says bad company corrupts good character. So what he's trying to say is that we cannot escape the fact that we're sending $4 billion a year to a country that's committing ethnic cleansing, that's blowing up churches, blowing up kids, sniping kids and their parents from windows and roofs. The IDF is brutal. And we've got to take accountability for it. When you sleep with the devil, there is always hell to pay. Tell him, Tug.
Law, international law. What does it say about us as a country?
What does it say about us, America? What does it say about the values of America? What does it say about Americans when we simply don't care that genocide is being taken place in Gaza, that children are being killed? What does it say about you and me as everyday Americans? What does it say about our conscience, our morals, our lack of compassion? And yet we want to call those things Christianity? What the hell is wrong with America, Americans?
If we want this kind of a partnership in the largest expenditures of U.S. tax dollars of any single area
angry,
in terms of, especially with respect to our defense.
Cost of living is already making it hard to. The majority of Americans agree with you. I think the polling shows that. Attitudes on Israel are changing dramatically because of because of the fact they're committing genocide.
Absolutely.
That tends to lower your approval rating. But this vote would, as you said, be the last vote. So Congress wouldn't have to be on the record supporting Israel after this vote, because it would all be handled by the Pentagon Procurement Office.
That's right.
You see the deception. Listen to me now. Do you see the deception that Tucker Carlson and he's exposing? This is not something that will be openly voted on. So whether you're Republican or Democrat, you will not have to go on the record as fighting for this or supporting this. Basically, it's passed the minute this new budget is passed. So why would that, how deceptive and sneaky and maniacal that is, that the Congress people that we send, again, I'm talking Republican, Democrat, Independent, Progressive, I don't care. No one is raising the fire bells about this right now. So they're all just going to let it go by and pass over. Why? Who's controlling our Congress? Who's controlling our Senate? What forces here are at play to take over America from inside America?
And the procurement, I mean, it's very significant. So that's why I'm saying there's a limited amount of oversight that occurs then. You have to remember, when I first got to Congress, the Inspector General of the Department of Defense said that there was over $1 trillion in accounts that could not be reconciled. That was in 1997. They couldn't keep track of over $1 trillion. Today, it's multiple trillions.
Yeah.
They had like 1,100 different accounting systems in the Pentagon.
Yeah. And by the way, Doge has been disbanded. Elon got what he wanted. He got his government contracts. He got all of our personal information. He got all of our government contractors and all of their business secrets. And now Doge is gone. There's no oversight anymore. And again, nobody is talking about this. I'm sorry, people. You guys should be getting angry about this. I don't care what your political affiliation is. Someone's trying to take over our country.
It's engineered to where money might just disappear.
It's engineered to evade oversight. There's no way to
right now
even know what's happening.
Now it is. So this time, if we bring Israel into the picture and create this merger at the top of the most sensitive aspects of our national security, our national defense, where's that going to go? So, you're merging, you're integrating, you're eliminating duplication in the context of a country that's involved in genocide and ethnic cleansing. So what do they gain from this? They gain weapons endurance, okay? Because they get these weapons system which they may not have access to right now. They'll have intelligence depth that they don't have right now. They'll have AI targeting capacity that they may or may not have right now. They will.
For free.
There's no diplomatic deterrence, right?
For free.
Because the game's going to be led by the Department of Defense. The Department of State is going to be further diminished by this, for sure. You have, the.
Wait, can I just ask, what about, the Secretary of War, the Secretary of State, cabinet secretaries, House and Senate leaders, everyone in the White House, they're all on board with giving a foreign country control over our military?
Come on, Tucker. Tucker's trying to. That's what I said. We gotta watch Tucker, because Tucker's not trying to place the blame where the blame needs to go, and that's the Oval Office. The bottom line is these congressmen would not be even trying to do this if they didn't have the approval, the silent approval, or the nod, if you will, from President Donald Trump. You guys gotta believe that. The question is, why would they do it? Why would he want this to happen? Why would he care? And why would the President of the United States, who takes an oath to defend the Constitution from enemies foreign and domestic, would be okay with this? That all, and again, he controls the House and the Senate, that all the people in the House would just get in line. Even the Democrats. Sorry, Tom.
Terry?
Who knows who's on board? It's in the legislation now, and they vote for it. It's law. This entangles our military in whatever Israel chooses to do. They want to go to war against Egypt. They want to go to war against Turkey as part of this Zionist expansion. Hey, we're pulled right along with it, and our country then becomes a target.
We're already pulled along with it, like he said. The little draft for this was the Iranian war. We got pulled along into a situation that was not even our business. For no reason whatsoever, we got involved in a war that's probably going to cost American taxpayers upward to $1 trillion, by the way. Another $1 trillion added to the national debt. Yet and still, somebody's okay with this. There is a shadow government, people. I've never been involved in conspiracy theories. All this deep state stuff, I really never believed it. But I have to say, there is a deep state right now. There is something going on. There's a shadow board. There's a shadow Congress. There's a shadow Senate. And then there's a presidency.
Our country then becomes vulnerable based on anything Israel chooses to do, because we are partners then. And we have no control over that. We don't have any control over what they'll do. It's like a fantastic thinking that we can bring them into the military and all of a sudden we're going to control them. No, the way you control them is to keep the IDF at bay and try to work out some kind of diplomatic relations, which really aren't working out right now, because otherwise why would you have so many dead people in Palestine and in Lebanon? There's no diplomacy going on. It's basically a license to kill that Israel has.
Paid for by us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just go back? I have too many questions. To your description of the U.S.
I have to ask you people, and I want you to leave me some comments. Are you okay with the United States of America sending $4 billion a year to Israel right now, when you're paying higher bills, higher gas prices, higher health care, no health care, your kids are going through student loan hell, okay? And yet and still, no matter what we say about we need money and we got to cut spending, we still keep sending that $4 billion a year over to Israel. Are you okay with that? And if you are, let me know and stand on it.
U.S. defense budget is 80% of discretionary spending, which I didn't know, which is hard to believe. The United States is prosperous largely because it's isolated from threats by the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans. Basically, the United States, the threats that it faces were going to come from Canada or Mexico, really. And those are, not existential at the moment. So why would the United States spend 80% of its discretionary budget on defense? That's crazy.
Well, you know why I think? And this is what I believe Not just again, I am not talking Republican or Democrat. I'm talking Congress. I think most, in my opinion, I think most of these congressmen are in the pocket of lobbyists, of military contractors, military subcontractors that are giving these guys favors and kickbacks for them to vote on all of this military spending. And I've already did my own research, and I'm going to be honest with you, you may not like to hear it. But Donald Trump holds stocks, and his family holds multiple stocks that he just took and just did since he came into office this second term, of tons of military contractors for millions of dollars, and yet still he owns the stock, and he's the government that's procuring the contracts to these companies that not just he owns stock in, but a lot of our congressmen do too. There's a lot of corruption here, people. It doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. People are using us. People are lying to us. People are stealing from us. People are raising our taxes and making our way of life more difficult while they're simply enriching themselves, and they're not supposed to be doing it.
It undermines, I think, the constitutional imperative of the United States.
Yes, it does.
We, the people of the United States, it laid out certain purposes of governance. Provide for the common defense, but that wasn't the only thing, okay? Promote the general welfare. Ensure the blessings of liberty. We're moving away from that. If it all becomes about defense, what happens? And what is happening now, there's specific things that have happened. We've seen healthcare.
Can I just correct you and say it's not defense anymore, it's war. It's not the Department of Defense, it's the Department of War.
Thank you.
Well, technically, that's illegal, because to change the name from the department, people are not even talking about this stuff. People don't seem to understand. You just can't change the name from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. It needs congressional approval for that, and it's never been done. It's not approved. Yet and still, it's called the Department of War. Tucker, you're wrong, and you know you're wrong. That's why I got to check you sometime too, Tuck. It is not. It is legally the Department of Defense, and it hasn't changed legally. Read it right, Ref.
Because, I mean, that's right. Because
if it's about defense, the United States is defended by geography mostly. It's defended by oceans, by its lack of physical proximity to people who hate it. So, like, we're pretty safe, always have been, probably the safest country in the world. But that's it. But it's not about defense, it's about war.
And because it's more about war than ever, how do you measure that? You measure that by how much money you allocate. Again, $900 billion were allocated in 2000 for the 2026 Department of Defense, now war. This year, $1.5 trillion. And it constitutes 80% of discretionary spending. So what's happened? We've seen cuts in healthcare. They've cut back administration of the Affordable Care Act. They've cut back...
Now, I'm going to say this right now. Now, some of this stuff that he's saying right now, the great prior senator of Congressman of Ohio, what he's saying, you can tell Tucker Carlson doesn't agree with, but he's letting him talk. And I got to respect Tucker for that. But these things right now that he's saying, and these things that are not being done, are things that Tucker Carlson's okay with. That's why he's silent. But the bottom line is, Americans are suffering because of the discretionary spending that's going to these military contracts in the military, so that our people, the people who we send humbly to make decisions for our best interests, are enriching themselves.
The CDC lost about $3.5 billion. The education has just been wrecked. The kind of benefits that were out there in the education department, we saw the work-study program. I took a work-study program when I was just starting my college career.
I took a work-study
worked at the
program.
plane dealer in Cleveland for a while and worked and went to Cleveland State.
Got it. And you got to understand that, people. You've got people in this cabinet that are billionaires and that they know nothing about work study. They know nothing about student loans. Their children will never have to deal with work study. Their children will never have to deal with student loans. Linda McMahon grandchildren will never have to deal. They're in college and it's being paid for by Shane and Stephanie, in my opinion, and Triple H. They're never going to have to worry about student loans or work study programs and things like that, or TAP benefits or Pell benefits. They're never going to have to see that. But they're letting it take a knife and just cut this stuff up so that we are being affected so that they can make more money.
They cut this funding 90%. So all these young people who want to get educational experience and work at the same time, they're not going to be able to do that.
No.
There's programs that affect the poor that would enable young people to reach up and get an education that they've cut. Their specialized education funds, they cut out whole divisions. There's a lot of programs that have been cut in education. They've cut job training programs.
Job Corps, gone.
And all this goes, by, I think it was job training is about $3.7 billion they've cut from that.
Yep.
They cut nutrition program, feeding people, feeding the food stamp program, which, large.
And stop saying it's all about black people and stop saying it's all about Democrats. SNAP affects more Republican states than it does Democratic states, and it shouldn't even matter. What should matter is we have American people that are hungry right now. We've got American kids that are going to school with empty lunch boxes because of these cuts. And these cuts were done surgically with precision so that these cuts would hurt us, providing money for the military and providing tax cuts to billionaires. Now, you've got to be upset about that, no matter what your affiliation is. We were hurt. In other words, someone took a knife or a scalpel and sliced us up and our families and our children so that the billionaires can make more billions without paying any taxes, and more military contracts would go to people who got stock in those companies, in my opinion. This is what's been happening to us, people. And people are suffering in our country. And we don't even know who's responsible for it. That's deep state.
It has kept a lot of Americans fed. They've cut that by about $6.3 billion. And then with that, there's reductions in the women's and infant children's nutrition programs. What are we becoming as a nation?
Yeah. Did you get that? You get that? What are we becoming as a nation? The question is not only what are we becoming as a nation, I submit to you, where are we going as a nation? A lot of people talk about Christianity, and a lot of people don't want to talk about this thing that we talk about here. It's called end times prophecy. And America is nowhere in the Bible to be found in terms of the leadership in the last days of the history of the world. America is nowhere to be found, but all these other nations are prevalent, and you can find them in the prophetic map of the Bible for end times. Where is America heading right now? Have we really lost our soul?
When we arm ourselves to the teeth, inevitably benefiting all these defense contractors, and leave the American people defenseless at home, defenseless against poverty, defenseless against ill health, defenseless against being ill-educated, that's the real strength of our country.
Now, Tucker's quiet because he don't agree with what this guy say, but I respect Tucker for letting him come on the show. But it's true. What profit a country if it gains the whole world, but loses its own soul in the hearts and minds of everyday Americans who need a little help from our own country, who need a little pickup to get a better job, who needs a little help to get into a better school? What happens to us? What do we become, people? We become blotted out. We become members of the dustpan of history, prophetically.
We're letting that go. And so my sense is that it's bad enough that 1.5 trillion is going to go primarily to these arms manufacturers, okay?
Yes.
Because those are capital intensive expenditures.
Yes.
And at the same time, here comes Israel, right inside the Department of Defense, at the most sensitive technological areas,
That's
most sensitive
ridiculous.
security issues.
That's ridiculous.
And they're right there helping to direct what America does.
At exactly the moment when the American public has made it very clear we don't want this.
Right.
You know, it's really rare in a less democratic, more authoritarian response to public opinion polling. It's like your job, you served in Congress. Your job is to represent the people who put you there.
Right.
So you look at the opinion polling and you see people don't want this.
Right.
And so that's the first thing you do, something they don't want?
Yes.
Like, how is that a real system?
Because one, we don't know about it, Tucker. Because these kind of bills are being slipped through that we don't even know what's going on. That's why I'm saying there is a shadow government. There is a shadow board. There is a shadow Congress and Senate. You know why they're doing it? Because they don't fear us. They fear the lobbyists more. They fear their bank accounts and their stock portfolio more than they feel your vote or my vote as Americans. They don't care if we can complain. The media, they have the media in their pockets. So whatever we think when these things happen, they smooth it over by making us think that we're just imagining everything, or it's somebody else's fault, or they'll put us against each other and say, oh, it's the Democrats, it's the Republicans. But the truth of the matter is, they don't care about us. They care about the lobbyist who's giving them money and making their lives better so they can take trips and they can go to theater and their kids can go to the best schools and they have the power to make sure their families are protected, while they have stripped us of not only the protection that the Constitution gives us, but our own self-esteem.
How is that a representative government?
It's not. It reflects a level of control that already exists. I mean, let's be clear, this objection that is being raised here is cognizant of the fact that we've had a relationship that goes back at least to 1948, to 1948, and then going forward from there, and more recently, Israel saw to their advantage to encourage the United States to go to war against Iraq. I mean, Benjamin Netanyahu sat in front of me in a government oversight committee and articulated reasons in September of 2002 why the United States should go to war against Iraq. And he also said, I asked him, who else would you attack? And he said, Iran and Libya in committee.
And we did it.
Go to the internet and find that.
And we've done it. And we've done it.
There's a different imperative that Netanyahu has than what our aspirations are for our country. The people of Israel have to make their own decisions, but they cannot decide for us. We have to have autonomy here. We have to have sovereignty.
We don't.
And I fear for the future of our country.
I do too.
If we bring in,
crazy, man.
This genocidal group that has shown no compunction about murdering children, shooting them in the head and the chest,
yes,
laughing about it, celebrating their dominance over defenseless people. It goes beyond being heartbreaking. It's insane. And we need to push back. People should be calling our congressmen and saying, do not vote for this bill.
And how many of you will do that? How many of you really have the guts? How many of you really get the magnitude of this? How many of you really understand that you're being used, no matter what your political affiliation is? How many of you really want us to merge both militaries of the IDF, United States military? How many of you are going to get on the phone with your Republican and Democrat independent senators and congressmen and say, I don't want this. What in the hell are you doing? Why are you not fighting for this? Why didn't you tell me when you send me out the quarterly newsletter that this was going down? Why are you silent about this? We can't just keep taking this. We just can't keep allowing the very people that we're sending to Washington to protect us, to strip us.
To vote, force an amendment to be made to take it out, take that provision out of the bill. And if they won't do it, vote against the bill. I mean, I would vote against the bill anyway. I voted against almost every single expenditure for these kinds of things when I was in Congress, Tucker, because I knew it was a scam. I knew the people of the United States were getting hosed by these defense contractors, and it became a racket.
It's a rat. You already said it's a racket. It's a swamp. It's a racket for who, though? It's a racket for those in the Senate and those in Congress that have stocks in these companies that the lobbyists take care of, that the lobbyists representing these military companies give favors and friendship and fealty to, are people that we send to trust us, to look out for our best interest. Yeah, it's a scam. And the scam starts at the top. We got to be honest. And I know nobody wants to hear this, but you know what? We have to look at what's going on in the cabinet of the President of the United States. He's all these billionaires. These guys don't know what it's like to care for you and me. So why are they there? Because they're part of the system now that's ripping us all off.
It's as Smedley Butler said it years ago, war's a racket. So this is a racket. We got pulled into one war after another we didn't have to be in, and Israel was coaxing it all along. And the Middle East region is going to end up in a worse conflagration if they come inside, because they'll be leading the dance when it comes to making strategic decisions in that region. It's happening right now. They have that kind of influence, but this locks it in. This is formal. This is the law. And what happens to our country? My concerns about America, I consider myself a citizen of the world, but I am an American, and I don't want anybody trying to influence our country to do one thing or another. We make our own decisions here. Not anymore, though. Israel has too much influence already. And through AIPAC and other...
But why, though? That's what nobody... And who's doing it? Who's behind this influence of Israel's? Who's making the decisions? Who's influencing our government that we have just opened the door to Israel? I believe it's the billionaires, the Jewish billionaires. Yes, I'm serious. The Jewish oligarchs that have fealty and they believe biblically that they should look out for Israel first. They're influencing our politics. They're influencing our media. Now, when we look at that, we have to look at the Kushner family. We have to understand why Jared is so involved in the Abraham Accords. Why Jared Kushner and Charlie Kushner. Charlie Kushner's over there right now as an ambassador. What are they doing there? Is Charlie Kushner really looking out for American interests? Or in the back of his mind, is he looking out for Israel's interests? And Jared Kushner, we know what he's done. He's enriched himself. He's enriched his family. He's enriched his wife. They want all of these islands and all of these things that they're doing for themselves. $2, $3, $4, $5 billion getting from Saudis and getting from all MBS and all these people. Who are they really looking out for? They were supposed to be the ones that were negotiating peace with Iran. But all the while, they were helping Israel influence us to wage a war we did not have to get involved in. That's what we have to look at, people. You're being ripped off. You're being hurted. And you don't even know who's hurting us right now. Who's behind this?
Groups, they have engaged in a kind of subterfuge over what the interests of the American people are.
Subterfuge. It's schemes. It's schemes. We're being used by the very people that come to us and beg us for our votes. They forget all about us when they get to Washington. By the minute they're elected, they start forgetting all about us and the promises that they made. Democrat, Republican, or Independent. It doesn't matter, people. We've got to take back our power. We've got to take back the rights that we entrusted. With our people that we sent to Washington, we have got to come to the conclusion that Washington is a swamp. The entire whole of it, political system, is a swamp. But it's not been cleaned, and it's not been drained. It has been putrefied by this administration.
And it's not in our interest to be merging a military with a military that presents a clear and present danger to our own country.
It's crazy.
I don't want to hold hands with somebody who has blood on their hands.
Yeah, well, you know what? We do that.
I think all people are capable of evil. I certainly am, and I think all of us.
You know what, Tucker?
Are capable of.
You see, now Tucker's trying to get Trump out of this. No, Tucker, we got blood on our hands. We are responsible because we funded that genocide, because we funded those Christians being blown up. We funded those kids being messed up. We funded the snipers shooting them. We funded them blowing up churches. No, we have America. And I'm saying it to me. I've got blood on my hands. I didn't fight hard enough. I didn't open my mouth loud enough. I didn't send enough letters. I didn't make enough phone calls that I can say, I put my head on the pillow at night and say that I don't have blood on my hands. I've got blood on my hands because somehow my name has been on this. I'm associated with that genocide as an American that support Israel. And you too, people. You've got to understand that. We're all in this together now. Netanyahu and Donald Trump dragged us in a swamp that's not brown. It's bloody.
I believe that because I know what human nature is. But there's only one country committing it right now. I mean, we don't need to guess. Is the Israel...
Stop it. Stop it. This is where we have to keep an eye on Tucker Carlson. No, it's not just one country that's committing genocide right now. You know who else is committing genocide right now? Take a look at Russia. Take a look at Ukraine. Take a look at what Putin's doing. Shooting up hospitals, shooting up kids, shooting up apartment complexes. No, it's not just one person that's doing it. No, Tucker, you've got to be honest with yourself. It's not just one country. But Israel is, Israel, we're not giving Russia $4 billion a year to do it. We are giving it to Israel.
Really government evil? Yes. I mean, obviously. Murdering children is evil, no matter who does it, period. They don't get a pass.
Well, then Putin doesn't get a pass. Putin doesn't get a pass. Xi doesn't get a pass. Kim Jong-un doesn't get a pass. Call it out right, Tucker.
Standard. So the idea that we would merge with that of all militaries.
Well, again, I agree with that, Tucker. And you know, I wouldn't want to merge with any military. I don't even like NATO for that matter.
I totally agree.
Because I don't want anybody acting and trying to drag us into conflicts. You know, our founders warned, beware of foreign entanglements.
Yes.
We were warned about that. And they had the vision to understand that the United States needed to protect its independence, to protect its sovereignty by not getting drawn into conflicts in other countries on behalf of other nations, not on behalf of ourselves. You know, I'm for defending our country, but now where we're at is that we're on the threshold of forever wars. I don't think Donald Trump went into office with the idea that, you know, we're going to have more wars. He promised.
He promised.
We don't, you know, no more wars.
He lied. Donald Trump lied. It was just one more of the 20,000 plus lies he's already told. And listen, I'm not here to attack anybody that supports Donald Trump. I'm giving you facts. If you voted for him, you voted for him on the premise that he was going to pull us out of foreign wars and foreign entanglements. You voted for him because the premise was it was make America great again. It was all about taking care of Americans. You got used too, and you've got to come to terms with that.
He made that promise, but he couldn't keep that promise because of the influence of this particular group. And that's really sad.
You're throwing Tucker a softball. It's not about he couldn't keep it. He is the most powerful man in the world. He's the president of the United States of America. He couldn't keep it, or he didn't want to keep it. You see, we got to come to the realization that Donald Trump doesn't really care about everyday Americans either. Now, we have to understand that, yeah, he's throwing money at the farmers when he screw them over. Yeah, he's throwing money at different minorities. Yeah, but his dog whistle is not to you and me. We've got to come to terms with that. Why did he cave in? Because he's got stock in military contracts too. His son's just got military contract for a drone company. Kushner has, all these guys are making money. We are being hosed, people. And somebody's got to get tired of it.
It's really sad.
I saw it firsthand. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen in public life, for sure. Who are the people pushing this?
Well, you know, it's very interesting. There was an iteration of this bill that was introduced into Congress by two members. Didn't get much attention. but this was folded into the bill. Nobody knows who put it in. That's number one. Number two, no hearings on this part alone. There's been no hearings and no real discussions about it. I mean, you and I could talk for an hour or so easy on this. Between us, there's more discussion that's occurred on this bill than any place in D.C.
Where are our Democrats? Where are Republicans? Where's Rand Paul? Where are all these guys that talk about America first and cutting back on government spending and all this stuff and talk and allowing a merger between Israel and United States military? Why are they silent? Their silence is deafening because they're involved, people. You got to admit it. Are being used. There is a swamp. There is a deep state. And we have got to wake up to that. And the ones right now who went to drain the swamp is not draining a damn thing.
They don't want to talk about it. They just want to quietly slip this provision into a bill without debate. Remember, they shut off any hope in the Rules Committee of a debate over an amendment by Tom Massey and Ro Khanna. They had an amendment up. They didn't even include it in the list of amendments that would be made in order when they go to the floor. There was no debate in the committee.
Do you understand that? Do you understand the power that it takes to make a move like this? Do you understand the hidden power, the shadow power that it takes to control the Congress itself so that even the Democrats or the Republicans that probably are vehemently against this are silent? Do you understand the power that it takes to shroud this in the American government, to sweep it under the floor like it's nothing? That you and I would go about our daily business not even knowing this happened. Do you understand there is a swamp?
Over this. And so, when it gets to the floor, then there won't be any debate over this provision. Unless somebody gets up and says, well, this provision, but there won't be an effort, an amendment to strike it is not in order. So it stays in the bill.
Stays in the bill.
People have to understand this is being engineered quietly, but no more. Hello.
Do you understand that, what he said? It's being engineered quietly. We are being engineered quietly. This is something that's so major to the fundamental aspects of our Constitution, and yet it's being engineered silently. This is why America's not mentioned in end times prophecy. This is why America's not mentioned in the Bible. This is why I fear for America's very existence in the end times. We're going to be swallowed up because slowly but surely little pieces of the soul of America is being eaten up right now by shadows and secret.
To try to just slip it in, make it accomplished thing, and then all of a sudden here we are. And the thing that
we don't know who pushed it?
Well, we know whose idea it was. Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yes.
He's taking credit for this.
Yes. Now,
he has.
He says his idea.
Now, here's the question. Why does Benjamin Netanyahu have so much power over our Congress, over our government, over our president, over our administration? You've got to understand that. You've got to understand there are forces at work. And I am not anti-Semitic, and nobody can call me anti-Semitic, and nobody can accuse me of being anti-Semitic. But I submit to you right now, there is a movement of power brokers that are Jewish, that are manipulating situations that we have no control over. And they're doing it for their own selfish gain, their own pocketbooks, their own family. But more important than that, they're doing it for Israel because somehow they believe that will make them a good Jew. Just like people think they're good Christians. If I do all this, somehow when the Messiah comes back, he's going to take care of me because I took care of Israel. That's not how it works, people. But this is a shadow government right now that really secrecy and with secret and cunning and scheming is taking away the fundamental rights of our Constitution, and people need to wake up.
Yeah, this
is crazy.
And why would Netanyahu want this? Because Israel is going to have every possible advantage they could possibly have in terms of weapons enhancement and AI targeting and lower operating costs, right? You get to offload
You
your
get it all for
operating
free.
costs onto the
You
U.S.
get it all for free.
They can entangle the U.S. into things. All of a sudden, you want to fight me, buddy? Here's me, buddy. And you're off to the next war.
Without the Congress ever debating it, no one going on the record to support it, it would just all of a sudden become part of the system. It's embedded in the way the U.S. government operates. They just can effectively control 80% of our discretionary.
No committee hearings, no debate, in the bill. There you have it. One of the most serious changes in American sovereignty in the history of our country would occur without any debate at all.
Without any debate.
It just folded into a bill.
This is how democracy dies. With thunderous applause. Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith. This is happening right now, people. I don't understand why you're not being outraged by this. I don't understand why you're tuning me out. I don't understand why you're just cutting this off and going about your daily business like this is not important. It's important for you. It's important for your children, for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. It's important for the soul of this country. It's important for the Christian views that we espouse to. It's important for our morality. It's important about our character, America.
It's probably close to 1,000 pages.
Could this happen soon?
Well, here's what's going to happen. The Congress comes back on July the 13th. The Rules Committee will try to meet again. The reason why it didn't get voted on this last time is there was a dispute. The White House wanted the SAVE Act that deals with curtailing certain voter registration privileges. They wanted the SAVE Act folded into the National Defense Act. And so they pushed the House leadership to combine that. And in order to make that happen, the House has to first pass a rule. Every bill can have its own rule. It's like, what are the rules of debate for this particular bill, this piece of paper? So they create the rule, and the rule said, it did not include that amendment that would amend out this Section 219. But what it did do, it's combined the SAVE Act and the NDAA, so it gets...
You don't get voter ID unless you hand the military to Israel.
No, that's an interesting reduction. No.
Well, everything's a reduction in politics,
yeah,
right? But they can make that case.
That's interesting. But let me just say that it didn't... The rule was voted against because 14 Republican members didn't like the way the thing was set up. So the rule went down, which meant they couldn't get to the bill. So there was no vote, a week or so ago. But so they'll go back to the drawing board. They'll go back to the Rules Committee and come up with a rule. Will they include an amendment that could be voted on to determine whether or not Israel and the U.S. military should merge? I doubt it. It'll go to the floor again. So people are going to be faced with an up or down vote. That would be my guess. It's a guess. An up or down vote on the bill itself. I mean, I'd recommend voting against it and keep voting against it until they take that provision out.
But that could pass this month.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
How do you stop it?
Well, votes. I mean, people have...
But if you're not in Congress,
people have to call. This is where we're not helpless. People or voters who, and we're watching this from across the country. Call your Congress.
You have to blame ourselves. We created this. No, and I'm talking about the people that just sit there and they don't vote and they don't take any type of interest in what's going on in our country. We just go through our lives every day and it's amazed that somehow everything's okay, that we can trust the people we send there. We have to start taking responsibility for ourselves. We got to start taking accountability that if there is a deep state, we created it over time and decades of allowing this type of behavior to continue to fester in our American government. It's crazy. And we've got to take responsibility for it. The fault lies not in our stars, people. The fault lies in ourselves.
congressman or congresswoman and say, look.
And know this. If you don't call your congressman, if you don't get involved, if you keep silent, you have to give an account to what's happening to our country. You can't sit on the sidelines and be a backseat driver and complain about America and complain about this and complain about this or complain about that. No. If you're silent and you don't vote and you don't get involved and you don't hold our Congress and Senate to the fire, we may not be as rich as they are, but we're just as dirty.
We don't want to merge the military. Vote against the bill or take it out of the bill. That's it. I mean, it's, as I said, I wouldn't vote for this bill anyway because of how it vitiates.
But it's treason. It's literally treason. You're handing your government to a foreign government against the will of your own people who pay for everything. I mean, my view is if there was ever a justification for shutting down Washington, it's this. And yet it doesn't seem like there's any way to stop it. Call your congressman. Does that matter?
Sometimes, yeah, sure.
We have to
if
try,
the people
Tucker.
get enough calls, they get.
We've got to try to do something. We just can't stay silent anymore and just let this keep going on. We're fighting for our children here. We're fighting for our futures. We're getting older every day, and Social Security is not going to be here by 2032. We just can't sit by and do nothing, Tucker. And if making a phone call is me doing something, then we need to all do something.
Nervous. And when they start getting nervous and there's a slippage in votes, yeah, I mean, it can make a difference. Absolutely. Sure, it can make a difference.
Do you hear that, people? I want you to understand that, what's being said. We can make a difference. You can make a difference. Maybe you feel like you can't make a difference. Maybe you feel like my vote don't mean anything. But your vote with my vote means something. It means something. Don't you understand that? You got to understand the power that you have in unity. You've got to understand what it means to link up with other people that care about the same things that are affecting them, that's affecting you, irrespective of your race or your class or where you live at or your political affiliation. You've got to understand that together we're stronger.
Now, given AIPAC's influence will make a difference? I don't know, but
you won't need AIPAC after this.
No.
They'll still be there.
Dehumiliating control and all that, I get it. But as a practical matter, it's done.
Well, wait a minute. This is interesting. There are people who are now talking about, we're gonna cut. We won't give Israel any military funding. They don't need any military funding. They're in the inside now. They can direct the expenditures of over $1 trillion. What do they need a tip of $4 billion for when they can have influence over 1.5 trillion? Watch that. You'll encounter people who will tell you, we're going to eliminate the military spending to Israel. Really? And you're going to bring them into the decision-making position in the Department of Defense for the most sophisticated spending that exists for the future national security and future defense of the United States of America. Whoa.
Well, a lot of organizations. So that's why you see these Israelis and their agents in the United States saying on television, maybe we should stop taking military aid from the United States.
There you are. There you have it.
The lying is just, it's like every word is a lie.
It's called Hasbro, right?
Yeah.
Every word is a lie. Every word is a lie. That's from every level of American government. And you know what? It just is not about our Congress and Senate. It starts at the grassroots. It starts in our mayors in our communities. It starts in our town councils in our communities. They're all going along with this river of corruption. They're all getting it in overdevelopment. They're all getting it in contractors and fealty and favors. Who's going to stand up and say enough? I will. Will you?
And it's, what does the poet say? Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. And there's deception everywhere here. And they're trying to deceive the American people as to where their interests lie.
Do you see that? You heard what he said? And that's the truth, people. Now, I'm going to break this off right now. I'm going to break this off. We're going to come back to this again. I want to give you a break. This is only going to be part 1. I will put part 2 up, but I want you to understand what's going on. I want you to fight. I want you to get angry. I want you to call your congressman and tell them that you want them to get us out of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2027, Section 219 and Section 1217. I want you to get angry. This is somebody that they're using us. They're lying to us. They're cheating us. They're taking away from us as Americans. And they're enriching themselves and their billionaire friends and foreign agents. And America's losing its way. And America is losing what America is. America is losing what America is. And if we don't stop it, God help us all. God help us all. This ends right now our situation in this. We're going to let it go. We're going to walk away right now from this, people. I want you to know that I care. I want you to know that it is what it is, but we have got to do something about this, people. We've got to do something about this. We just can't take this anymore. We can't walk away. We got to fight. You got to care enough about the people in your home to make a phone call. You've got to care enough about the people in your lives. You've got to care about your neighbors. You've got to care about your community. You've got to care enough to care. Because if you don't care, we lose. All of us lose. No matter what your political affiliation is, no matter what you represent, we've got to tell Washington enough. We do want the swamp drained. President Trump, please drain the swamp.